Welcome to another Haulier Conversations podcast, created to share ideas, inspiration, and best practices across the road haulage industry. Now joining us today is Kate Butler, shareholder, director, and transport manager at Mark Savill Transport, a transport business that has evolved over more than 40 years, from Savill Freight to Transtex to Abacus Transtex to what it is known as today, Mark Savill Transport. Mark Savill Transport operates out of Thatcham with offices at London Heathrow. They primarily cover the southeast, but also cover nationwide movements across various industries, from events work to urgent air freight to container movements. And they have an unwavering focus on solving customers' problems, as is also evident from the broad range of specialist equipment they have to deliver on just about any job. Their fleet includes 3-ton tail lifts, a flatbed with Moffat carrier, as well as 44-ton and 26-ton curtain side Moffat vehicles capable of 3-ton lifts. Hi, Kate. It's so good to have you on the show. Thank you very much for joining us. First question, I guess. Shall we just launch in?
Yeah, brilliant. Thanks, Sandra. Thank you for inviting me.
Good stuff. So, what got you into haulage? Tell me.
So my route into haulage was actually quite unfortunate. It's my partner's business. My partner started at the age of 21 with one van, and as you do, went and bought himself a 44-ton Arctic. Started work that way with a company called Savill Freight. Very successful, lots of international work. Moved into UK work with a company called Transtex Limited. When he saw the writing on the wall, really, that the Europeans could do European work a lot quicker and a lot cheaper than we could in the UK. Mark Savill is my partner. Mark Savill Transport's the company name. And really, I saw that it was a 24/7 business. It was a 24/7 job. It was his baby. He cared about it. He cared about his customers, his drivers, how a job was done. And my route in was that I saw that I needed to work with him. Otherwise, I'd be sat at home reading a book on my own.
And now you see him all the time.
Yeah,
7 days a week.
24/7. Yeah. I don't know which
you're still here. You're still here, so something must be working.
Definitely. I actually really enjoy it. I find it a challenging industry. It's very highly regulated. You need to be extremely organised. You need to keep a lot of records up to date. And I think, that's actually a challenge that I enjoy. So.
Well, actually, yes, because you're both director in the business, but then you're also heavily involved on the planning side of it and making sure everything goes all ship shape.
Absolutely.
What do you do around planning? Because I know that there's a lot of interest in this. What sort of your planning best practices that you apply and that makes you good at what you do?
Okay, so the first thing is to understand what your customer wants. Quite often, I think nowadays the customer passes the buck to the haulier to make the decisions, and it's knowing exactly what vehicle they want and what it's going to be used for. For us planning, we're often looking at the driver. Which of our drivers has the right skills? We're involved in the events industry. We're involved in providing emergency bottled water when the water mains fail. We're involved in container movements. We've got 3-ton Moffats that are very useful for jobs where customers don't have their own forklifts on site. Also, so we look at the driver actually. So the Mandata planning pads are fantastic because we can change it from planning for the vehicle, planning for the trailer, planning for the driver, which is really, really useful. The other thing is looking at what availability the drivers have. Again, on the Mandata vehicle pad, we can actually look at the driver, we can see what their driving hours are, we can see what their availability is, all in one shot. We can see where the vehicles are, whether it's going to be back on site on time for the next job. So those have been absolutely brilliant for us, really good tools to help us progress in what we do.
So in your opinion, not just having a real knack for talent and being a really organized person, it's kind of amplifying that with tech, with software.
It is, and that was quite a jump for us. You know, if you go back 10 years, we were the same as everyone else. We had a big A3 piece of paper and everything was written down and planned on that. Always having a second eye cast over our planning as well. So in the office, we have a transport manager and ops manager. We're not big on titles. The two of them work together. They sit opposite each other. They've got two screens in front of them. And Lydia will plan most of the next day's work. But she'll always have Keith look over her shoulder, check the planning. Again, the fact that everything's now web-based, I'm able to sit at home, I can check through what's being done, make sure the right driver's been allocated, make sure that we've got the right size tail lift, we've got full closure, tuck under tail lifts, different types of things on our trailers and our 18 tons. So it's really important that someone else casts their eye over and just make sure a mistake's not been made.
Yeah, that makes 100% sense, because you get tired and these are long hours, right?
They are, yes. Yeah, most definitely.
It's a lot to keep in your head. And like you say, there's this, the way that the world is moving, the fact that you can, because haulage is 24/7,
Yeah.
Even as much as you want to, maybe you don't want to, but be in the office 24/7, that's just not realistic. And being able to have that control and that handle on what's going on in your business, wherever you go, is like, it's just so key.
Absolutely. And, we've chosen to utilise the Mandata tracking and the TACO packages as well. So we've integrated everything into one system. And to be able to click on a job and see where the driver is at any time, to be able to click on the job and see when the driver last took a rest, whether he's actually had his sufficient weekly rest for the work that we want to allocate to him, and it's all there under one package as being it's simplified our work, and it saves clicking from screen to screen. And as I say, it's something that I can do from home. I tend to work from home 2 days a week, but it doesn't mean I'm not involved in the business 24/7.
It never stops.
Yeah, I think it's still important, obviously, to be seen, and particularly our drivers. Yeah. We consider our drivers our assets. A lot of them have worked for us for over 20 years now. Wow. They've been with us a long time, and they like to see us, they like to speak to us. But we can actually use the Manifests app to communicate with them in a fantastic way, because they've got the same information that we've got in the office.
That's brilliant. So from office to cab, and then, and having that personal touch when they come back in again.
Yes, exactly. We still go through a debrief process every day, but yeah.
You have to talk, right? You have to sort of human to human, right? Have those moments.
Communication is so important. Yeah, and to understand, we have drivers with young families, and we know that they don't want to go a night out or work on the weekend. Their families comes first. But we've got other drivers who are perhaps single, who are quite happy to be away and want to be away. They want to be kept busy and, love going up the road. When we've got the jobs to Scotland, we've got work up at Liverpool Port at the moment. So they're up there and they're all having a great time. They think they're on holiday.
Well, that's really clever though, right? Because it's like you say, it's not just the vehicles, it's not just the software, but it's having that awareness that there's a spectrum that you have to maintain. There's a variety of types of drivers that you have to have in the business. It's not just having drivers. It's having drivers for all seasons and all experiences.
And that's key. That's definitely key to our planning. We run emergency bottled water, and we have to have a vehicle on site within 4 hours, and that vehicle could be making multiple drops. They could be reloading. Usually Moffat vehicles delivering the pallets of water to specialist hubs where the public can collect the water from. But communication's so important, and being able to get the job details onto the manifest app quickly for the drivers, for them to accept it, but also talking to them and them telling us, what the situation is. Can they get down that road? It's quite often small country lanes, so you're still having to talk to people all the time. But yeah, it's great to be able to just press a button and they've got the details.
Yes. Yes, because actually haulage is tough enough, right? The job shouldn't be unnecessarily tough. Your technology or whatever your systems, it shouldn't make it harder than it already is.
No, and I think it is. I think for most hauliers that I know, and the people that we speak to in the industry, it has been a huge learning curve, because the drivers aren't always tech savvy. They don't particularly want to be tech savvy, and they've had to learn as well. They've had to come in, have training, understand that we're not checking up on them. We also use the team admin app as well for the timesheets, and to make our drivers understand that we're not checking up and trying to reduce their hours. We're not trying to, stop them doing things they shouldn't be doing. We were doing that anyway. We were checking how long they were spending, refueling a vehicle. If they were refueling for 2 hours, there was something wrong. But, trying to explain to them that this is actually making our life easier in the office. And we're not having to fill in spreadsheets or Excel charts, that we've got everything under one roof now. It's useful.
Yeah, and that makes sense, because it's teamwork, right? So
Definitely.
I'm curious, because clearly there's a lot going on. What's your personal superpower that sustains you in business?
My personal superpower, I am ultra organised. I'm a excellent project manager, and I worked in the corporate world. Previously I worked for British Home Stores, and I used to head up the what was called property services and supplies, which was everything non-merchandise. So it was maintenance contracts, cleaning contracts, energy management. So I had to be ultra organised in that field. Progressed on to I was one of those awful people that closed Woolworths and all those department stores and was involved in that. And as a project manager, you have to know what your team are doing at all times. You have to be aware of what your customers wanting as an end result, and you have to be efficient and communicate. So yeah, my skills have transferred into haulage very easily, because it's a puzzle, and you have to put together the puzzle. you have to have a process to get there. I talk to the guys in the office, and I say to them, we are just a production line. Everything we do is a production line. The email comes in, there's a process of dealing with it. Putting the information into Mandata to create a job, there's a process that you need to follow. When the driver's going to site, there's a process that needs to be followed with regards to conformance and PODs. And then the same with invoicing at the far end. That's the main aim, is to get an invoice out to our customers same day or next day. So there's a process.
Not next month.
That wouldn't work. There's always the odd one that slips through. There's always an anomaly where you have to research it, but that's what makes it fun, and that's where you can put in the rules to try and identify what went wrong and how we correct it, really.
Yeah, everyone can manage a little, odd one here, as long as it's not, in the bulk, then we can all. Actually, one of my colleagues was saying the other day that business success is people, process, technology. And isn't that so true? Because it's everything you've been describing. It's your people, it's your processes, it's your technology.
Yeah. And I think we're fortunate. We've got we've got some fairly IT literate people coming into our office. We've got some younger people, which I think's been quite important because they've opened our eyes with regards to social media and how we actually communicate with everyone that maybe we didn't realise because we're getting older. we still think WhatsApp's modern.
Getting older, we are maturing, Kate.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yes.
Like good wine and good cheese.
Oh, yes. Okay, so one last question. What's the best piece of advice that you ever got?
The best advice I was ever given was ask questions. Don't accept anything at face value. Ask plenty of questions. And if you're not satisfied or you don't understand, ask again.
I love that. Yes, that's true, right? Because how will you ever learn if you always think that everything is right? If you think you're always right and you take everything at face value, where's the learning process in that? There's no growth.
There's something new to learn every single day. And, we work across a variety of industries, and it's so interesting to understand how different companies work, how different people work. And if you ask the questions, you can usually find solutions for people where they maybe thought there wasn't a solution. It's good.
That's brilliant. That's excellent. I really enjoyed the session with you, short as it was. I enjoyed it so much, Kate. Thank you very much for taking the time and just sharing how you guys are doing things and your best practices with the rest of the road haulage community. I really appreciate it.
Thank you very much, Sandra. Been a pleasure.
Thanks for listening. Feel free to leave a comment and tell us what and who you want to hear more from in Haulier Conversations. You can also reach out to me, Ian Thompson, or Sandra Pretorius on LinkedIn with any comments and suggestions you might have. We would love to hear from you.
So, see you next week for another episode of Haulier Conversations. Until then, keep those wheels rolling and the economy going.